It's a little depressing, and it unfortunately isn't very surprising.
There aren't that many investors who are actively seeking women founders. And I think there's all the usual kind of, myths about women founders. Oh, you're gonna have babies. You're not gonna be distracted by your family.
I think it's really indicative of the ecosystem on a larger scale. We know that women receive only 2% of venture capital funding, and you need that money to scale and to scale quickly.
It's the patriarchy, right? So when you have a system which is largely controlled by old white men who tend to want to invest in people who look and sound like them, you have a self-replicating problem.
Everything is a pipeline. That's something we say here at SkillJar, whether it's in sales or recruiting or in fundraising. And so really to create more women leaders in the world, we need to start from technical education, creating great job and career opportunities at large companies even for women in their careers.
Let's start with what women get asked to talk about when they found in the first place. We're having this conversation specifically about gender, not in this case about my business, right? And I think it's very common for people to reach out to women to talk about the issue of gender specifically, and not necessarily about bigger issues in business or technology. And I think that creates an environment where new investors, when they're looking at women who may be founding, it creates a higher barrier for those women to demonstrate that they are focused on things other than gender or diversity.
There is a lot of talk about the fact that women receive 2.2% of venture capital funding. That was the number in 2016, it was the number in 2017, and by what we're seeing from the first 3 quarters of 2018, it will be the number for 2018.
I mean, the hard part, the truth is that a venture fund has a 10-year life. So the timescales on which the money is allocated and deployed, it's not a year-over-year change. The institutions themselves are stickier and have longer lives.
We have a very structured recruiting process, which is designed to really look at somebody's skills and experiences holistically. That I think helps eliminate some of the biases and networks that might come with other types of recruiting processes. And we were fortunate enough early to have quite a lot of female representation. I think we're about 40% women now, and we take a different approach where we really look at projects and prior experience of what somebody can do, and not necessarily who they know or who they hang out with after work or how they present themselves in the interview environment.
If you want to be a part of a change, you have to make the change. And it's, I'm a middle-aged white guy, right? I have to go out of my usual methods and practices if I'm going to be a part of a positive change that I want to see happen and I want to talk about. If you show people that founders from different backgrounds can achieve great entrepreneurial outcomes, great investment outcomes, you shift people's thinking.
We invest in ideas that are exciting to us and that make sense to us. And we live in a world today where over 90% of venture capital partners who are making the investment decisions are men. And so I think it makes sense sometimes where they're not understanding the ideas that we're coming to the table with and the way we want to change the world because they don't share our lived experiences. So I think one thing that will help push this ecosystem forward is more female venture partners.
If you want to find more women or more African Americans or more Latinas, go figure out who are the thought leaders and the respected mentors in those communities and make your intentions clear to them, because they will become the referrers on to the great founders in their communities. You can't always expect the founders to come to you directly. You have to figure out who are your advocates and sort of trust partners within those different communities.